G'day everyone, welcome back to Pete's Investing. It's March 27, 2024. This is the silver, gold, Bitcoin and US dollar market update. So first off, look at the trend table, and you can see there I'm covering all these instruments, including some FOREX, but in today's video we're covering gold, silver, the US dollar and Bitcoin. As I said, you can see there gold is predominantly long positioning. Silver is broken down into a short position on the daily. The US dollar is predominantly long on the weekly and daily, and potentially going to break up to a long position on the monthly as well. But Bitcoin has got a neutral positioning on the daily after being long with some nice spikes recently. So we'll start with gold. What we have here is the daily chart and the hourly chart. So first off, on the daily, we look at the CCI 1500, our trend indicator down here, and that's nice and bullish at the moment. The CCI 150, which is a trend but also a divergence indicator, is showing a bearish divergence with lower highs on the CCI versus higher highs on the price, and it's potentially going to make a bit of a retrace to the downside. Now we're still in this range up here, so I haven't really projected any downside targets yet. On the hourly, first we look at the stochastic market forecast down here, and it's showing just coming back down from the overbought territory. So we're seeing some retrace to the downside from more recent highs after hitting this resistance up here at 22.23. Now if I zoom in on this, you'll notice a couple of things. We had a couple of bearish divergences here. The first one was up until those lower highs to that point, and the price retraced back down and just touched that target area. And remember, the target areas we choose is between a recent low before the divergence started to the high, and that was the target area between a 23 and a 38% level. And more recently we've had another, you can see there, that is pretty much almost a double top on that CCI, and I consider that a bearish divergence versus higher highs on the price, and that was our secondary target level from the same range between that low to that high. That was our target area, and you can see it hit it perfectly and made a bit of a bounce to the upside. Now zooming in more closely, you can see the price has been going sideways, so no real movement. Higher lows on the CCI versus higher lows on the price. So again, the CCI is moving in line with the price. If I zoom into silver as a next instrument, you can see there on the daily chart as well, the CCI 1500 bullish movement, although we've got a pullback on the CCI. The CCI 150 likewise is broken through the moving average channel, and that's in the description below if you want to learn how to trade or how to draw that on your chart. And again, they hit this key resistance up here at 25.78 before making a pretty massive turn to the downside and hit our target again in that Fibonacci range, hit our target area there. On the hourly chart, again zooming out first, we look at the market forecast indicator. It was in the overbought territory, and that indicated a bounce down from that resistance at 25.78. So again, it's making further declines in line with the daily movement as well. If I zoom in, you'll notice the CCI 1500 is still declining, and we've had a few bearish divergences here, and it's hard to read that, but you see there it's between that low up until that high, and that hit our target area, the first one. The second level was up until that point, hit our second target, then another little bearish divergence there. And this major one here was between that low there, if I just draw it for you. So you can actually look at retraces for each of these as they progress. You can see there that major one, there was still a bearish divergence over those lower highs versus higher highs on the price, and that hit our target at that point perfectly in that 23-38% level. And more recently, what we've got now is higher lows versus lower lows on the price. That's a bullish divergence, and that's again looking at that target area between the 23 and the 38% level, and that's where I've drawn that target area there for a bounce, and we're looking at a bounce to that area in the short term. You can trade these, but just be careful. Sometimes they're pretty aggressive spikes, like you saw that back there. That was a pretty aggressive spike to the downside, so it probably would have been hard to actually enter that trade. This one is potentially a bit easier with that bullish divergence. That's assuming the CCI remains in an uptrend and the price, of course, starts bouncing from there. Next, we're going to look at the US dollar. Now on the daily chart, first off, the US dollar is showing bullish movement on the CCI 1500, still above its moving average range on the CCI 150, and there is no divergence. You can see that lower high to that point is a lower high between that point as well, so there's no divergence there. If I zoom into the look out first on the hourly chart, we look at the stochastic market forecast. If it's overbought, it's approaching the overbought territory, so there's potentially a bit more upside to go. But if we zoom in, you can see there we've got a bearish divergence on the CCI 150, lower highs versus higher highs on the price, and that's our target area between that range. If I draw a Fibonacci between that range there, that's a 23-38% level. That's our target area. You can see it's actually hit it already, so it may have already executed that divergence. There was another little bearish divergence there between that range there, and that's where I drew that little target area, and that fell right into that 38% level. Lastly, we'll look at Bitcoin. So first off on the daily, got a bullish movement on the CCI 1500. The CCI 150 has actually broken to the downside of this moving average band, so it's in a neutral stage at the moment on the daily, and it's made a bounce off that minor support at 6800. Now, I wouldn't be going long on this one yet until we see this break above this moving average band, and by that stage we may see a break above this resistance at 73,660. So I would hold off until it breaks above that band and above that resistance to be more bullish. Otherwise, we've got you can see there we had a bearish divergence here on the CCI 150 versus higher highs on the price. It may have already executed that divergence. It's actually touched it and bounced off it. And again, zooming out, it hasn't actually reached the overbought territory fully yet. Again, we need to see it break above this resistance to be really overbought. To support us more, go to the Patreon page for Pete's Investing, where we also do weekly scans of blue chip shares that are trending along on a longer and medium term timeframes. Feel free to support us there, and we'll see you in a future video.